Hi everybody. Okay, I'm sitting in a new spot in my studio today because I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my journals, and so I figured I'd do that, and I have a new different tripod to make that a little easier. So Scout's also with us today. If you hear some noises and grunts and snores, he's sleeping right down there. Hopefully he won't be barking too much. I hope you guys are doing great today. It's been definitely emotional the last few days, and the sad thing is I really think it's going to be like this every day for a while. I am not, hey Karen, I am not usually a sad person. I'm lucky. I'm a positive person. I know some people, I feel like sometimes you can't help it. Some people are more sad than others. But today I was bawling my eyes out this morning. Oh my gosh, for everybody and everybody who's affected. And but there's also another side to that. There's my mom. Hi, Mom. I was just saying how, my mom will tell you this. I'm usually happy and upbeat, and this morning was a little difficult. But in all of that, there's still some bright spots, and I had an image for a new painting, and I'm so excited. And there's my sister Susanna. Hello, Susie. I can't say Susie. Susanna, it's old habit, but I had an idea for a painting, and so sometimes when you have these sad moments, and then you can turn around and you can think of something, and I got an idea that sparked in my head, and so I'm going to be creating a painting series next week. Oh, and Jax is on there too. It's too bad I can't do a Zoom with you all, and we could all have a big Zoom party, and I could see what everybody else is doing. So I see his little face over there, little icon right there. But anyway, all right, I'll try not to blabber about everybody coming on, but I just wanted to share that everybody feels different, and everybody is affected. And some people have moments where they're sad, and some people are having moments of creativity, and it all is happening all the time. And that happened to me today, this morning. So I just want everybody to know that I'm thinking of you all, and I'm sending you big hugs and lots of love. And I'm hoping we can all get through this week and have some creative brainstorms happening at the same time. So I wanted to show you guys how to create this journal. And so yesterday we went through a bunch of my travel journals, which is kind of funny because we can't travel anywhere. But these journals are so easy to make that you can just keep them in your bag, or have them in the kitchen, or have them in the dining room, and take a pen, your big pen, and just doodle away, and it is such a great thing. So what I decided to do today was show you how I make a journal, but I put my own spin on it. Yesterday I was saying that this was a journal, in case you hadn't joined me then, with flaps. And this journal was designed by Tisha Moore, and you can Google her on YouTube and find her how to do the journal too. And I've been doing her journals like this for a long time. And what I did yesterday after we chatted was I came up with my own little journal because I wanted to not do something exact. So first off is I'm gonna put the phone down or put my camera angle down to here. So without me going all the way upside down, look, I'm just gonna move it. Oh, look how seamless that is today. So how I get started is with one sheet of paper. This is watercolor paper that you can find at an art store. And right now, obviously we can't go to an art store, but you can order sheets of paper, and you can order this on Blick Art Supply, and there's probably tons of the Jerry's Artorama store, I think that's what it's called. But I buy Fabriano paper. You can buy Arches, and I try to get 140-pound weight. So it's thick enough, and it's heavy enough to take the different paints. So what I do is I start with my paper, and so for my journal, I need to show you guys my journal. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this too. So my journal that I created, hold on. I might have to flip you back over just to show you, but give me 1 second because there's a cute little thing I did to it. All right. Okay, so what I did was, whoopsie, there we go. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's relatively the same size. It is the same size, but I cut it differently, and I have a string here, and in the inside is where I have my flaps, and I did a sort of like accordion fold. I'm gonna actually put this down. It might be easier to see it this way. So I have my pages. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and when you open it up in the middle, I have, this is gonna be in the inside. So that's gonna be really fun because you can do lots of things on there. You could do all doodling on here, you could do all collage on here, whatever you wanna do. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages on the outside. And then you can figure out, you can use the string. I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it, but you could make your holes bigger and put a ribbon, anything you want. So we'll look at that in a minute. That's gonna be, I'm gonna put that over on the side, but that's the journal we're gonna make today. So you start off with your piece of 22 by 30. I might have said 24. I meant 22 by 30. It's watercolor hot press, 140 pounds. And you can sometimes just use to cut one of these big thick rulers, or you can use your Exacto knife, which, oh my gosh, I have to go get that. Can you believe it? Or if you're in a pinch, you can use scissors. Hold on. Coming back. Wasn't really prepared. And I'm all set now. Okay, so today though, I'm gonna use my Exacto knife. And in Tisha Moore's journal, she just uses the bar. My fear is that I'm gonna wreck it in front of you guys. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to cut this into a few panels. And also what I have is my handy dandy cutting board. And if you don't have one of these, put down cardboard or something that you're not gonna wreck underneath. So anyway, this is perfect. It's actually a little bit smaller than this size, but it works great. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on getting this inside panel piece cut out. And that panel piece is gonna be this top section here. And so I have my measurements, and you guys, I will definitely put this on the measurements and everything and the how-to on either a YouTube video, and also I can put it in these notes when we're done. Okay, so you guys don't have to write notes now. So the first thing that I do is I work on this panel. So this is 30 inches this way and 22 inches this way. And so I'm gonna have an 8-inch, 8-inch, and 6-inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my marks. So I'm just gonna take a pencil and mark where it's 8. And mark where it's 8. And then the rest of that will be 6. And what I usually do when I have a bigger sheet of paper is I mark it in the middle as well. All right, so here is my middle 8. 8, and then I've got that down here. 8, 8. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this first piece right off. So hopefully you guys can still see this. I'm gonna use an Exacto. The reason why I also make a dot or mark in the middle of my paper is because I don't have a bar long enough. And it's also from my college days of having to mat everything. I doubt they do that now. They probably just do everything digitally. Okay. Okay, so here is, oh, I can't even, you guys should see all of my scars I have from Exacto knife cuts from college. There were quite a lot. Quite a lot. Okay, so now I have my one piece. My Exacto knife blade's kind of stinky right now. All right, so I've got my one piece here, and that's this long way. Then I'm gonna use this leftover piece, and I'm gonna create 3 sections. So it's 16, and this is 30, so I'm gonna go 16 by 10, 16 by 10, 16 by 10. So I'm gonna take my pencil and mark that. Okay. And you guys can make these any size you want. Actually, when I got off the live with you yesterday, I thought it was going to be so hard to figure out how to make a journal. Once you sort of know how to make one, you can do all different size, shapes, flaps, anything you want. I think the main thing is to make sure your paper is decent and thick enough to handle your paint. And then you're just gonna bind it all together, which is not too difficult. So I have these 3 pieces. Okay, so these are all the same size, and I'm gonna fold them. The Fabriano is cool too. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got our Fabriano Artistico written on there, and I like to use that and keep it the right reading. It's just a fun, different lettering. Okay, hold on. Yep. So I'm gonna take my paper and fold it, and I'm using one of my little handy dandy wooden spoons here, just to kind of make sure my edge is pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna do that with this one. Oopsie. And you know, don't worry about it if it's not perfect like this one. Well, oh my goodness. Don't worry if it's not perfect, because art journals should not be perfect, right? You don't have to finish them. You're not gonna put them in an art gallery. They really are just for you to, oh my gosh, to have fun, to doodle, to put your thoughts down. I was journaling this morning. I have a journal book that I actually write in every morning. And this morning I had so many different things in my brain. I was so all over the place. That's when my idea for a painting came out. So I actually drew it in my writing journal, but if I had this one done, I would have been doing it in there. Okay, so I have my 3, I don't know, they're not really signatures, but I have my 3 little pages. On this guy, my middle piece, what I'm doing is I'm just gonna fold it in half like this. And then I'm going to fold it in like this and fold it in again. Okay, so now this is where it gets fun, and I'm gonna make this phone go down even lower so you can see the fancy pants sewing that we're gonna do. I'm gonna take my spoon and just make sure my edges are pressed down. This just makes it easier to fold. Don't have to worry about that later. Now listen, I wanna tell you a little tip. I thought about this after I cut this and put it together yesterday, because I'm going to show you guys how I paint on my pages in this live today. But if you wanted to, you could paint all of your pages before you bind them together. So this book that I created, all of these pages were prepped and ready to go for my trip to Barbados. And I painted them all different colors. I did it after I had bound this together, but you can, if you'd like, to actually paint on these separate, let them dry, and then bind it together. It's totally up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. I will show you how I paint mine after it's bound, but that's just because I wanted to, oh, cheapers. Hold on one second. I just kind of let Scout out because my other child is skateboarding right out here. Scout, come on. Go on, there you go, come on. See what's outside. Okay, sorry about that little interruption. Okay, we're back on track. Alrighty, so I've got my 3 pages, and I'm going to put this right in the middle. Now you can measure this out, which a lot of people will measure it out, or you can just eyeball it. It doesn't really matter. The main thing is we're going to be putting our holes in this piece here so it bounds it all together, okay? So I did this yesterday. We're going to do, this is 6 inches right here, okay? So this is 6. I'm going to do, I think, on the halves and then on the 2 and the 4. And the reason I'm doing that is the farther I can get to my edges on here, just the more secure it's going to be. So I'm going to, oopsie, I already screwed that up. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch there, a 1/2 inch there, and a 3. I don't know why I said a 2 and a 4, you guys, ignore me, but we've got 1, 2, 3. That's all we need. It's 3 holes, so you can bind it together. Okay, and so you can, if you want, mark all of these pieces. You can mark all of these pieces, but for right now, I just kind of go for it. And I'm gonna move this phone so you can see it better. Okay, here we go. We're gonna go for a little tiny walk right here. Whoops. Okay. There we go. Move that a little bit over. Hopefully that's a little bit closer and better for you guys. Maybe like that. Oh well, you guys get the point. Okay, so the needles are these needles I bought. This is just a ribbon threading needle, and the main thing is you wanna, I'm gonna actually take that out. You wanna just have it be, here we go. There you go. You want to have it just be big enough to hold your thread. And the other thing we're going to need to do the binding is an awl. So I've got this right here. If you're in a pinch and you don't have one, you can be creative. Just find something that's sharp and do some pointings. So I'm going to eyeball it in, and the main thing is you want to go through all your pages. So I'm going to go right in the middle, like that. And where was that other guy? Right here. Don't stab your finger. Okay. So I've got my 3 holes, that's all I need. And then what you want to do is I'm sort of using what I have available. So I am using the string that I use for my, when I tie up my flour sack towels. This is a hemp thread. I get it on Etsy. I wrap all my items with this thread. It's strong. I've used it for a long time and it works, so I'm fine with it. But you can use anything. You can make these holes bigger, and you can put ribbon in it. You can put leather in it. You can do a lot of really fun things. You want to make sure, though, that you have enough. If you want to wrap it the way I wrapped this. So the way I wrapped this is I wanted it to tie on the outside. So you want to make sure you have enough to do that. Or if you don't want to do that and you want to keep it on the shorter side, you can tie it in the inside and just cut off the strings that way. So whatever you feel like, that's fine. I'm just gonna put that down like that. So I'm gonna do the one that I did yesterday. So I made yesterday. So I'm just making a long enough piece. I know I'll probably end up cutting this. I'm gonna thread my needle. All right, here we go. I should have had all of this prepped and ready, but today was a little challenging this morning, so hold on. I think I say that every time we get onto these lives. Okay, here we go. So to have your string tie on the outside, you need to start on the outside, okay? To have your string tie in the inside, you need to make sure you go the inside out. So it's whatever your preference is of where you want your string to be. So because I'm doing this one, I'm gonna put my needle. You guys can see this. I'm putting my needle through the 3 holes on these 3 pages. I'm doing it like up in the air, so it's not, hold on, there we go. It's not the easiest, but when I pull it through, I want to make sure, you know, I've got my long string hanging off the bottom, and then you want to make sure that you go through the middle of your signature inside spread, okay? So what we're gonna do now is make sure you have enough sticking out. I'm gonna go through the inside to the outside hole. All right, I'm pulling this through. It's like a little sewing. And then I'm gonna go through to the end, just like this. And I'm getting the inside of that book. Okay, pulling that through. And then I go through the middle again. Making sure I've got the hole. Okay. Okay, so right now, my strings are a little uneven, and if I want to use this to tie, this other one to tie, I need a little bit more. So you just kind of play around with it. I'm going to take the thread out of the needle. I don't need that anymore. And you can just kind of jig it around a little bit to give yourself more string. So one thing I do is I don't tie it until I have it perfect. So right now, I am pulling to make sure I'm gonna have enough to tie, and I'll have enough to tie now. So once I've done this, I'm just gonna tie it in a knot. It just kind of keeps it together, all right? And then I'm gonna close my book, and then I'll be able to tie this like this into a bow, and then just cut off some of my extra, and there you have it. So easy to make, right? And I did this on video, so it probably wouldn't even take you guys that long. But I do want to show you before I do a little bit more chatting. I do want, like I'm chatting now, but I do want to show you how I do one of my pages so that you can prep your pages and give you some tips there as well. So I'm going to open it up. And at this point, you could put some newspaper down, or you could put some other stuff down. I'm just going to go right on here, but there's a few ways that you can paint on your paper. You can use watercolor, and you can use acrylic inks. And what I also like to use are acrylic inks that are, I'm sorry, I meant acrylic paints, but you can use acrylic inks. And this is one of my acrylic inks. You can get a whole bunch of different kinds, but they're really fun because they are a little translucent and not too, whoopsie, sorry about that. Whoopsie, they're not too thick. So what I'm gonna do is put a piece of paper down underneath, just so I don't get a mess everywhere. And you know what? If you get a mess everywhere, it's totally fine too. It would make a really fun page. So I'm just gonna put some ink down. All right, and then I have a sponge brush that I'm just gonna kind of sponge around. You can already see it's light, and it's gonna be smooth, and so you'll be able to write over this. I'm going to give it a little bit of water. The inks are great with some water. Just so I can spread it. So the thing too that you want to be careful when you do your pages is don't expect to prep all your pages at once. Like I would do one or two, maybe this other side, and then I would wait till it's completely dry to do the next one. Because otherwise your pages will get stuck together. So if you're gonna work on prepping a journal, just plan on going back and forth to it a few different times until it's dry. And what I'll do is, I'm gonna show you something. It's probably on the other side. Oh, it's not, but say if it was on the other side, then that is fine. And then you can use another color to paint over it or incorporate that into your journal page. So I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'll do maybe another couple of them. I'm gonna bring you guys, I'm gonna turn you back up to me. And hold on, there we go. I'm gonna do a couple other pages where I can prep them for you. And I thought tomorrow I would do just a little trick on how I do some lettering on my pages. So, you know, the lettering can be anything you want it to be, but we could do some fun little lettering to get started. And, oh, thanks, Karen. You know, the color is, okay, I'm gonna tell you guys what that color is because it's pretty awesome. It's just a processed magenta, and when you use the water, it gets a really pretty like rose translucent color. And that's one of the reasons why I like inks and watercolors as opposed to using paint on my pages, because I feel like it's light, and then I can do the pen work and I can do paint pens and go to town. So just remember, you want to make sure your paper weight is thick enough. So Arches or Fabriano is a great brand. I always go with 140-pound weight, and you can definitely get away with 90-pound weight. They're not cheap, but one sheet costs me between $5 and $7. And so by the time you're done making a journal, you've only spent $5 or $7 on it. And if you were gonna buy a journal, it would be way more than that. It's also something like you created. And the thing that I love about these journals, one of my favorite things, it's not too big. It's only like, what, 12 pages? So I never feel so intimidated. And as you saw yesterday, most of them are never finished. So they're just piling up. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little lesson. And remember, you can be as creative as you want. You can do as many flaps as you want. You just have to do a little bit of the, you know, numbering and figuring it out before you start cutting up your paper. But when you do your flaps, the paper is just going to be longer, and you can flap it over any way you want. So anyway. Oh, you know what I got to do? I'm going to go get our inspiration cards because they're on my other desk. And the reason that I was going to tell you guys too, the Costco tables work so great in my studio because I can move these tables all around all the time. So if you're working anywhere and you have a Costco table, I just put this oilcloth on top, and it just is so pretty, and it's great. It's easy to use, and you can wreck it. Hold on, let me get my little inspiration book. I hope my sister Suzanne is still on because she bought me these, and I love them. And I haven't pulled one today, so it's perfect. And I really hope that you guys, I'm just sending you guys so much love, okay? And I hope you feel it, and that one thing I did today that I did on Sunday, but one thing I'm doing now purposefully is to not get on the news right away. I'm gonna save that for the end of the day, and it's not that I don't want to know what's going on. I just know that it was setting my day in the wrong direction. So anyway, that's just a little thing I'm trying to do just to feel better. So I'm gonna work around my cards, gonna pick a card for us. Okay, so here's the back of my card, and it says, attack, pain, fear, judgment, and any form of separation are merely calls for help. So this is a really interesting one because I do feel at this time in our world, I do feel that there are some people out there who are attacking and maybe doing things out of their character because they're scared and they're fearful and they have anxiety. So I think we all have to give each other grace, right? We all have to give each other grace and know that everybody is a little bit, we're all on eggshells, I think. So with that said, I really appreciate you guys coming and visiting me. And tomorrow we're going to do some little tricks on the journal. And if you have your own journal or even a scrap of paper and you want to follow along and do some lettering with me, I would love to see you guys. I'm going to do 1 o'clock tomorrow in that specific time. And to all my friends out there who are on the other side of the pond, mwah, you guys know who you are. Thank you. And to everybody out there, big hugs, big loves, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay?